What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the Project CRX a little bit more, and if you guys have seen the previous video, you guys know that we just got back from our adventure to Bakersfield. We got home a little early and I spent a couple of hours cleaning out my wagon, parking it, wrapping it up, and then I cleaned the garage a little bit. I actually fixed my dad's camping chair. This is like sentimental value to me, and this thing has broken a couple of times. I spent probably an hour making a new leg for it right there, and then putting a little bolt through to hold it together, another one right here in the middle so it doesn't split, and this thing is good as used. So what I want to do in today's video to utilize the rest of our sunlight here is I want to pull the engine out of the new Project CRX and get the LSVTEC ready to go in, which is sitting right here on the floor. The last package we needed, the last main package we needed was the Action Clutch Stage 3, and it actually showed up 4 days earlier than it's supposed to. It was supposed to show up next week, but it showed up yesterday before I took off, and I'm ready to install it. I'm ready to install it. So if you guys don't remember, the CRX has the B20 rebuilt in it, and we swapped this in a couple of days ago. If you guys haven't seen that video, be sure to go back and check it out. This has a B20Z that I rebuilt, 0 miles, piston rings, bearings, pumps, seals, everything. This is a 0 mile engine. We swapped it in just so I can see if it works and it runs, and if it's cool, then we're gonna pull it out and get it ready for its actual transplant. So this motor right here has been sitting in the car for a couple of days, and I wanted it to be in here for a few days just so I can heat cycle it, because it doesn't have coolant or a radiator setup. I wanted to leave it in there so we can get it hot, turn it off, let it cool off, turn hot. I've probably done it about 6 cycles now, and it's ready to come out. I've shown you guys this a bajillion times before, and I'm pretty much just gonna get right to work. We're gonna pull this motor out, we're gonna prep the LSV, and hopefully by the end of this video, the LSV is gonna be planted in the engine bay, and everything that I have for it here in this garage, hopefully install this well too. Whatever I don't have, I'm gonna order it, but the goal is to fire this engine over in the next couple of days. So enough with the talking, guys, let's get to work. Big shout out to Action Clutch for getting this clutch out super clutch. I don't have my razor blade because it is broken, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to peel away from myself, not towards myself. Okay, that's not gonna work. Cut away from yourself, not towards yourself. Action Clutch, we are rocking the Stage 3 ACR 0461 for the B series, and I'm gonna show you guys inside here really quickly. Right here we have the 6-puck sprung disc. This is very great for the street because the spring helps the pedal feel a lot. And normally I'd run rigid disc because, you know what I'm saying, savage like that, but because Action Clutch has this nice cover for the springs, this definitely gives you a reassurance that the springs aren't ever gonna break out of it. Action Clutch sticker right here, also another ginormous one right there. We have another Action Clutch lanyard. This is freaking awesome because of the amount of cars that I have, and I keep losing all the keys without one. This right here is the pressure plate. Now this is the Stage 3, so this is not the heavy duty pressure plate. If you want a heavy duty pressure plate, you would want the Stage 5 kit. This right here is the clutch alignment tool with a brand new bearing for the flywheel, and in this case we're going to be using a lightened flywheel. I'm going to tell you guys right now, be sure to use a fresh flywheel or a resurfaced flywheel. Don't be like me. I'm gonna go ahead and put this lanyard with the rest of them here. You can see there's a gang of them, but I'm gonna go ahead and just get the flywheel, the clutch, everything on, and then we'll get the release bearing onto the B16 cable transmission, and we're gonna put everything onto this fresh LSVTEC, and then we're gonna throw this into the car. So I've pretty much pulled everything from the B20 that I need for the LSVTEC. We have the alternator with the belt on. We have the brand new action clutch stage 3. This is a 24 spline small shaft transmission, and that's a 9091. Make sure when you buy a clutch for your car, you buy it for the correct transmission you are rocking, small spline or big spline. If it's a Honda, we have the transmission installed, B16 starter. We were going to install the half shaft, which I have right there on the floor, but the half shaft is for a 94 Plus Integra, where the seal is much smaller in diameter, where the cable transmission, the seal is much larger for the bigger half shaft. So I'm either going to have to find a DA half shaft to work with this seal, or go to Honda and buy seal for the 94 Plus Integra. So the motor is pretty much ready to go in, other than one more thing I need to install, which is the engine harness, and we're going to do that in just a second. The distributor, I'm going to rob it off of this one as well. It's already cut for a VTEC cylinder head, so we know this works. We'll just swap it over for now. This one does have COP, but we don't have the COP mini ECU yet, so we're not going to worry about the COP system as of right now. We're just going to run plug and regular spark plugs, and I'm going to pull the injector and fuel rail off of here just to plug on there for now. All the little odds and ends on the top end, we'll do it when the engine's in the car. Right now, let's go ahead and grab the engine harness and get that installed. I want to give a big shout out to Richard, the homie. He was living out here for a very long time, and then he moved up north, got rid of his CRX, and he hit me up and he was like, hey man, I got a harness. If you want to buy it, I'll shoot it your way. So now I was like, you know what? Why not? Why not just have some inventory? So this has actually been sitting in my back shelf of the garage for a couple of years now, and I guess we have a reason now to use it. This is a wire tucked harness, and it is for an SI chassis, which fortunately for us, this car is an SI. Brand new tucked harness, and it has the sub harness and everything that I need to get this installed. So we're gonna be rocking this for this car, you know, some nice stuff on here. And this right here is the conversion harness for an SI right there, and something else dropped out. Oh, we got ground cables too. So we got some fresh ground cables right here. We got one. Okay, just one. We'll use it. This is pretty straightforward. If you guys know about engines and sensors, everything is pretty much labeled. If you don't know engines and sensors, again, this is labeled, so you pretty much just look at all of the labels that are labeled on the wire itself and just route them into the home location. This is a tuck harness, so try your best to tuck it, otherwise you're defeating the purpose of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get this all clipped in, and then we'll roll the engine underneath the car and bolt it up. All right guys, so where did we leave off? Engine planted in the engine bay, and I ran a couple of wires, and I also tossed on the header that we're going to be using for the setup. This is, I believe this is a PLM big tube, 2.0 liter big tube tri-Y, and I was fitting it up just now and realizing that the traction bar is not going to fit. So with this innovative traction bar, I'm gonna have to cut off this front mount to clear this runner right here, because it is hitting right and I can't bolt it up. So tomorrow I'm gonna cut that, and it looks like it's going to be very tight with the radiator. Now I was gonna run a half core, keep it simple, but I do have a full-size radiator that the homie Christian gave me, RIP Christian, and this is a 3-row full core. So by the looks of it, I don't think I can run this radiator, which is not a big deal because I do have 2 other brand new radiators up there. If worst case scenario, I'll get an EG radiator, which is much slimmer, because this is also a very tight space, and we'll just drop the mount down to bring the radiator lower and clear the hood. So we're gonna figure all that out when we get to it. I think I'm gonna carry on tomorrow because I want to go grab axles in the storage. I think I have axles, but most importantly, I want the half shaft first so we can figure out which axles we need to get. So tomorrow I want to do the button up with the fuel rail, the distributor, spark plugs. I also got to get engine oil and transmission oil. So a lot to do tomorrow to get this thing a little more finalized. I do have the shift linkage installed as well too, but the header probably gonna have to come back off so I can do the half shaft. I'm pretty stoked. The LSV is now in the engine bay of this car, and I kind of like the blue on Tahitian, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What color should I do the valve cover? I kind of wanted to do gloss black because everything else is gonna be black back there, but let me know what you guys think. This actually looks really good right there. I'm already partially cleaned up, so I'm gonna wrap it up for right now, and we'll see you guys in a second. So warming up my KRX right now, and I am about to head to the parts store. But before I do, I wanted to check my red label box to see if I had an axle seal, and this one right here looks just like it. So I went online and I looked up the part number. Right here on HPT Autosports, the part number is 91205 PL3A01. 91205 PL3A01. So it looks like we have the seal here, a red label seal, and that is going to be one item we're not going to need to buy. And I'm going to go ahead and head to the parts store now to grab some fluids, and I'm going to grab some food as well too. So I found a pair of axles. I'm almost certain that these are B series. This one came off the Flip RX CRX. This one might have came off the same car. I'm not sure because I don't remember even having this, but I have two axles. We're gonna test fit in the car and make sure they are length correctly, because I can't really tell the difference between the B series and all the K series axles that I have that's sitting on the shelf, though I can determine the difference between front and rear axles. So there's no other one here. I mean, we're just gonna test out what we have and see if it works. Right now I'm trying to find a stock B series flywheel, and I don't think I have one. I do have two Lighten flywheels in here, but I'm not trying to put a Lighten flywheel on the B20, which actually doesn't even matter because I'm not working on that engine right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and just sit here for a quick moment and try to remember if I need anything else before we get back to the house to put some more work in the Project CRX. Took the header off just so I can work with the half shaft when I get to it. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and lob this off. Whoa, 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 whoa. Big pause. Big pause. Traction bar, all nicely sanded down and painted flat black. We got the bracket off, so it should clear the header now. So let's go ahead and move to the transmission, swap that seal out, and then we'll install the half shaft that I have right there. This right here is my original razor blade. It's got my Instagram name engraved on there. This is the one that I was crying about when I got into a car accident in 2021 and the hospital took it and I couldn't find it, but I found it like a year later, which was actually in my hospital bag. Not sure why I hoarded that bag that long, but this is the 94 Plus Integra half shaft seal opposed to the 9093. You can see the inner diameter much larger on the DA than it is on the DC. So go ahead and put this on with caution. Do not tear it. Do not hit it with the hard hammer. You can use the old seal and just use a rubber mallet, because that's the only other way that I know. Tap it in there flush, not all the way in, just flush. All right, let's get the half shaft on. Sorry for it being a little dark down here, but half shaft is not bolting up. And by the looks of it, SR3J8, is this automatic or is this manual? Doesn't bolt up, so I got to figure out something with this real quick. According to Honda Tech, SR3J8 is automatic, SR3JO is manual. Not sure how I have an automatic half shaft, but we can't use it. So I'm gonna have to do the axles and the half shaft a different day because this intermediate shaft is not going to work. And I do have another hydro half shaft in the storage, which it was funny because I was staring at it today when I was there and I was like, I don't need it because I have one in the garage, and now I do. So I'm probably gonna have to go snag that tomorrow because it is closed right now. Let's go ahead and I'm probably gonna put the header on and the traction bar, and then probably put the suspension back together, and then we'll figure out what else we need to do in the engine bay, like fuel rail and injectors. Golly, look at that. Damn. Is that on there? Barely. That's probably a piece of paper. That gap. My goodness. The motor mounts are solid enough, but worst case scenario, it will clearance itself. Stock fuel rail. Stock OBD1 injectors. Looks like the bolt pattern is the same, so it should work. Sir, yes sir. Only running 2 nuts right now because the stud in the middle is a little too short. Hopefully we can secure all 3 when we put the 100 tune injectors and fuel rail into place. The injector harness has numbers on it, and from the crank moving towards the distributor, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and just plug these guys up. The beautiful part about these injector plugs are the disconnect clips, which makes it very, very practical. And this is numero 1, clipped in. Number 2, number 3, and number 4. We do have to clock the fuel pressure regulator because the return fitting is actually pointed right at the manifold with a finger gap. We do have a solution for that. I bought this off of eBay from Street Rays. This is a fuel pressure regulator 90-degree adapter. This turns the regulator 90 degrees to clear the barb fitting away from the intake manifold. Now, if you have the fuel pressure regulator with the 90 barb off of it, you don't really need this, but this is definitely very useful for, like, say an AEM fuel pressure regulator or something aftermarket. Put the adapter on, make sure the O-ring is on here. Make sure your regulator has an O-ring as well. Fuel return line goes right on. Now we just need a longer vacuum line to go to the back of the manifold to pull vacuum source for the regulator. So we have the full-size radiator kind of really not in place. The header sticks out so far that the bottom does not even go to the factory radiator tabs. So this full-size radiator is a no-go, and I'm not entirely sure if like a 2-row would even fit, because this is a 3-row. It's really thick, and I guess we're just gonna save that for a different project. Inventory. I mean, keep it as inventory, not a new project. Just saving it for whatever car comes that will need it. So I'm not really worried about the radiator right now. We'll figure all of that out when we get to it. I pretty much went through the engine bay to install as much stuff as I possibly can. We have the spark plugs from the B20, the wires from that, the LS distributor. It is hooked up, We did the throttle cable, modified the bracket a little bit, fuel rail, fuel injector, fuel return, the fuel pressure regulator, the booster line, the vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator itself. We have the stock fuel filter system, and that's bolted up to the stock fuel rail right there. This is going to change to a -6 with the inline filter when I do the 100 tune rail and injectors later down the road. And down here we are pretty much missing all of the coolant lines, which I need to buy the U-shape, which goes from that back barb right there to the intake manifold here. The two for the heater core, I have them, but there is no heater core obviously, so once we install the heater core system back into the car, we'll hook up those hoses. Bottom radiator hose and top radiator hose, we're gonna need that as well, but we'll figure that out once we figure out a radiator setup. So pretty much this thing is I guess in a sense ready to fire, but I'm not going to fire it tonight. I did notice that the car has an exhaust mid pipe. I originally thought it didn't have an exhaust system because there's no axle back. So the good thing is the mid pipe is 2.5 is what I'm trying to run on the car. We're gonna utilize that, and then we'll build an axle back when I get material and a muffler. We're gonna sort that out a different day as well, obviously. As far as tonight goes, guys, we are steadily making progress, and I think I'm gonna end it here because a lot of the stuff I still need to buy, so I'm gonna have to do that, you know, following this week. So progress is better than no progress. You guys already know what it is, and I'm stoked because this thing is that much closer to being fired over, and that much closer to being on the ground, and that much closer to being able to drive. Now, we did recently just gone to the dyno, and I was informed that my tuner is going to be back in town this following week, and I'm probably going to try to get the H2B CRX back on a dyno. And if possibly, big if, because I'm only one person driving one vehicle with a one trailer tow dolly, I want to maybe possibly bring both cars to the dyno if we get this car done in time. It's a really big if, but we're shooting for it. We're shooting for it because we are also on a time crunch with this car. I gave myself a month to do it, and we are moving right along. So I'm gonna kill the video right here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the progress update on this new Project CRX, and if you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. If you guys want to stick around for the first startup of this car, possibly maybe tomorrow for me and the next video for you guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss it. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.